Amy.
Hey.
Today's adventure is soldering. Done much soldering?
None.
In parts of the world that speak English but are not America, they call it soldering because that is how it's spelled.
Why do we not?
I have no idea why we call it soldering. Solder. So let me tell you a little bit about my soldering journey. Soldering was an enormous barrier to entry for me for cool electronics projects forever. I tried to learn in college, and I taught myself by reading the instructions and then trying to do it. And that was a recipe for making a literal hot mess everywhere. I could not get anything to stick. It would blob. It was blah. Anyway, so I just never did it. If a project said soldering required, I did not
Purchase.
I didn't buy
participate.
it. Yeah. So about 3 years ago, the 8-bit guy did a video where he built a little single board computer. It was the PE6502. And he showed up close how he did the soldering, and I watched that video 2 or 3 times, and I was like, I think I can do this. Like, having observed it rather than read about it.
Yeah, that would be hard to read. Though.
So he said, I wouldn't necessarily recommend this if it's your first time out, and I ignored those instructions because I ordered the kit and proceeded to, like, literally watch this portion of the video where he's like, now we're going to put in the resistors, and be like, pause, and then do the resistors. And at the end of the day, it didn't work. But I realized that somewhere along the line, as a typical, rookie mistake, I had accidentally lifted one of the solder pads off. So I followed the trace on the back and did one little bodge wire, and it works. And I was so happy with myself.
Okay.
Let's see if it... See? Ta-da! So happy, so pleased with myself. And did I play with this computer? Did I hook up this serial port to something and put some software on it? No, I did not. No, I got this thing to boot, and I was like, I've won soldering. So at that point, I got pretty cocky. I was just like, I can solder anything. I can do this. So I ordered some more kits, and the next thing I did was...
This is way more ambitious.
This is the RC 2014. Now, it's not a single board 6502 project. It is very clever. You've got this backboard that just receives things, and then each portion of the computer is on one of these cards. So you've got the CPU card. This runs off of a Z80. You've got the clock. You've got, the RAM and so forth. Yeah. Now, and again, success occurred, and I was very happy. If I can get this to...
Little HDMI.
Little HDMI.
Cute. And a micro USB.
Yeah.
It's like... Light. It has a light.
We have to tell it we want HDMI now. So again, no keyboard found. That's because I don't have one plugged in.
Right.
And if I plug one in, it says keyboard found, and then it continues to hang at waiting for UART data. I have no idea what I've done wrong. It's supposed to, I thought with this configuration it was going to boot to CPM, and I really wanted to play with CPM because I've never done it before. It was a predecessor to DOS.
Yeah.
And if you know DOS commands, my understanding is CPM is pretty...
doable.
Yeah. Anyway.
So this... But it works. I
mean, I got this far. I was super happy. So... Last night, I built this. I did all of those little connections.
How long did that take?
A couple hours.
A couple hours.
I find soldering
Is it zen?
Yes, very zen. That was the word I was going to use. I find it very relaxing just to go in line. And this is a PAL-1. Again, it came as a kit. It is a replica of the KIM-1. So this is a 6502 chip. The 6502 chip debuted in 1975. And so did I. The KIM-1 was designed to showcase what the 6502 could do. It was the first computer that I believe it was the first computer that used the 6502 processor. It debuted in 1976. And so did Amy. So
I'm the young one.
You are.
By
I'm the old.
not even a year.
Woman. So let me plug it in real quick.
Okay.
So according to the instructions, if you wait a minute.
I have that removed. Done.
If you plug it in, you have this switch set to SST. So I plug it in and the light comes on. That's a good sign.
And there's no smoke.
We have an LED. Yeah, and I did smoke test it before I put all the chips in.
I bet.
If we hit the RS button,
Because that would be sad.
we get a display.
And that is the output.
Yes.
And the only
That is it.
initial intended
Well, it also
output.
has a serial port.
But-
And
but-
yeah, so there are some instructions online for the PAL-1, and it's literally like, go look at the KIM-1 instructions. And yes, you can enter in assembly, you can load the accumulator with this value, store the value that's in the accumulator to this address. You can do some fun programming with a KIM-1. But this, as gorgeous as it is, and as proud of myself as I am, is but a portion of the PAL-1 kit. The rest
Step 1. Yeah, it even KIM-1
here.
monitor.
KIM-1 replica, and it's
And
got
KIM-1.
Chuck Peddle's name on the back right there.
Nice.
He designed the 6502. I think he may have designed the KIM too. So we've got an expansion. So we've got a motherboard kit, which is very similar to the RC in that it's just going to be a backplane, and we're going to put a bunch of slots in it. And then into those slots, we've got a ROM expansion, a second Riot expansion, because that's the first Riot chip, and a 32K RAM expansion. I'm not, off the top of my head, certain how much RAM is on the main board. But I figured that you might like to learn to solder. Soldering is our topic. So,
I have never even thought about trying to learn. To even really have
or you've
watched
got
someone do it.
You want me to pause it? You can think about it.
No, I'm here for it.
You're here for it. Okay.
Just laying out the depths of my ignorance.
Oh my god, okay. So what I do is I touch the soldering iron to the pin and the little pad, and I just feed it about 5 millimeters of solder. The iron's nice and hot.
I have to get so close for these to work.
That's how close you're going to need to be. I mean, you can take them off if you want, but they do provide eye protection.
Now, I will need them to do it. But if I put them on, I have to be 2 inches away to see it when I'm doing it. I can actually see it better.
Do you see the technique? Touch
A little bit
and
of
feed.
Oh!
Touch and feed. And what you want are these little tents that I'm making that go all the way. They're round at the base. That means it's touching the pad.
Bad things would be when I get it everywhere.
You can get it up.
Okay.
And then to put down the soldering iron, you put it in there so that it's hovering in midair.
I like it.
That's done.
I mean, you're fast at that.
I am.
In my opinion.
I'm very fast
In my
And then
Expert
to
opinion.
put the chips in, you know, I mentioned that you always want the divot of the chip set
To be facing the same as the dividend thing.
on that's silk screened on the board, and then you want the divot in the chip to also face that direction. I'm going to bend these pins using the table so they're all being bent as one. And I'm going to attempt to socket that chip. And same thing with this little guy. Little ones are harder because they're. You gotta bend the pins so that they will go in the socket. And then you see the little divot?
Divot.
Goes towards
Divot
the
to
divot. That lets you know that you've got pin 1 in the right place. Alright, that board is done. Now, using solder, you're going to touch it with your hand. Once you do that, it is absolutely imperative that you go wash your hands before you touch anything that you eat or drink. So, because it does have lead in it. So lead is, it's fine to be in the room with it. It's not going to absorb through your skin. It's okay to touch it.
Don't eat it.
It's okay because the smoke that comes off of this stuff, as I understand it, is actually the flux. And while I tend to not try to breathe that in, that's not the risk. The risk is that you will have lead on your hands and then you will go and eat or drink. So you're going to wash your hands a lot during this. And here, I'm just going to pop these first and last pins on.
Okay. Get the hair out of it.
Okay,
Okay.
so you're right-handed.
Yes.
Now, this grippy thing, touch it and touch it only. This thing is hot all the way to here, so don't grab there. And you're just going to touch on the back and then feed a little solder into it. And just take your time. It takes some time. I'm going to aim that light right at you.
Okay.
That's fine if that's what you're
So
comfortable
you just
with.
touch the boy.
Touch, yeah. Be sure to
Just
touch.
a shiny boy.
Yeah, touch the iron to the pin and the little thing it's coming up through, which is the pad.
Okay. Got it. There.
Yep.
Is that
And
big?
just you want to hold it there for like 1 second.
This is very wiggly.
Yeah.
That's supposed to be like that?
Get used to that.
Okay.
I need a better soldering iron.
Okay. Just making sure I was like in the process of breaking it. I did not do nearly. I didn't do anything. You can't see anything at all.
Okay. So you touched it. You gotta feed it a little bit.
Yeah.
And if you're using really fat solder, yeah, you're trying to touch it for like a microsecond just to get enough. But this, you really need to feed a couple millimeters. And pull. That was perfection. Look at yours and look at mine. That is absolutely perfect.
Okay, should I stop now that I've done it?
No, you should do the whole board.
One. How many are these? Okay.
Keep going.
We got it. Sounds good. Alright, you got your...
Yep.
Okay.
It could be more. Your pin's sticking out a little. Doesn't have a thing all the way to the top, but it's fine.
Oh, okay, yeah, so I did the
You can
same
do a
thing on the
little
other
more.
one.
But it's fine. It will totally
It will work?
It will both hold and conduct electricity, which is the point of solder. It has 2 functions. It holds everything together, and it conducts current.
Come on. I don't think it's anything. There we go. I'm trying to do a little bit more.
Yeah, that was a little bit more. Yep, perfect.
My little penny guy stick up high. Okay.
You're doing great.
So much. Okay. Go. Has it been heatening it? There we go.
Yeah.
I don't think mine.
So just get your iron in there, and that little part will melt. Yeah. Good. Yep.
Okay,
All right.
here
Put
for
it
safety.
down.
Oh, if I can see.
Amy solders.
I'm soldering. Oh my god, I cannot.
Look at that! You did that!
Yay!
Yay! Learning to solder. And this has been...
And this has been watching me do things you can't see.
Soldering hour. Thank you. Hey Amy.
Hey Taylor.
You want to play with the PAL-1?
I sure do.
Let me bring you up to speed. So it's a few weeks later.
Time has passed.
Time has passed. I finished the soldering and finished all the little boards. And then began the epic battle to get it to work. So this portion was working with regard to like this was turning on. But when I tried to connect it through serial, I had nightmares. The first thing I tried was the Raspberry Pi running Pi graphics, which is what is on the RC 2014. That did not work. Also, that's how I found out the RC 2014 is not working. It turns out, which I thought it was. So, you know, it said RC 2014 at the bottom. I thought that was coming from the computer. No. Someone added that graphic to the kernel.image file that was running on the Pi. So the only thing working on the 2014 is the Pi. And I'm actually going to bail on it. I've ordered another card that gives you VGA output so that I can just stop messing with serial connections because I'm really very, very over it. But that was not an option for the PAL-1. I have to find a serial solution. So the next thing I tried was a cable that had a prolific 2303 chip in it. And I made sure I had all the prolific drivers, and I got nothing. So I was starting to panic. I had given up, but ideas kept occurring to me of things I could try. So I would like abandon it for a day, and then I would think of something, and I would be like, oh, and I'd order it, and then I'd wait, and when it got here, I'd be like, all right, maybe I'll try it. You know, I'd get excited again. So I ordered an FTDI cable to do serial to USB because I have no computer that has a serial port in it anymore.
No.
It works. I then immediately realized I needed a gender changer, which I had not bought, and I couldn't wait. So I built this rainbow bridge, this Bifrost, to connect the two.
Bifrost.
But it worked. I finally got a serial connection to the PAL-1. So let me show you. It's plugged into this laptop, which is off screen, but which is running HDMI to there. So you should be able to see it. Ah! Okay. So the way it works is I'm running TerraTerm. And we're going to do serial, and it knows it's on COM6, and it had the drivers, everything worked fine with the FTDI. It came with a cute little CD with the drivers on it, but Windows found it.
And plus, CD-ROM.
Which I don't have, right, or I can't find. Okay, so check this out. So on the serial port, I've got to tell it that we're going to run this thing at 1200 baud, and then I've got to slow it down even more than that, because I've got to tell it to delay 20 milliseconds between every character it sends, and then a full quarter of a second between the line when you change lines.
Line to line. Now, how do you know that that's what you need to do?
Reading the internet.
Lots of.
And testing it. Like, a lot of people were like, oh yeah, it works for me if I do 10 seconds with 150. It's like, nope, I get a bunch of errors when I do that, so I slowed it down even more. So that being done, we hit reset on the terminal and enter, and boom!
It's like...
Kim! I want that to focus. It's trying to focus on me. Kim!
Oh, yeah. Focus on the reflection.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, hallelujah! I've got it talking. So, now that was just with this board. So now I had to troubleshoot this part. And what I realized was, fun fact, I could troubleshoot these one at a time by just connecting them directly to this cable. So,
Interesting.
so the first thing I did was test the RAM module. So this is the 32K RAM module. And it's hilarious because I did that wrong. Pin 1 on this, which is going to be the red one, red wire, just for reference. There we go. Is here on this. So when you just plug in one card, you can like wrap it like that and it'll be cute, or you can just make it faceplant, which is hilarious.
Eat dirt.
So now I'm going to start this over. So serial, setup, serial port, we want 1200, and we want major delays. Thank you.
New setting.
And then reset and enter, and there I've got it. Now, so that's working, so I knew that this little board worked, the RAM worked.
So you can do this.
So this could be it. And what you can do once you have extra RAM is actually run some programs that are larger than the onboard RAM, which is like
teeny.
Okay or something. So what you do is you go.
Okay.
I type 2000, which is the lowest bit of this 32K RAM, and then hit space, and it takes me to that address. And then I hit L. Oh no! It does have to be in caps. L.
Okay.
This may not work because I messed that up.
We'll see.
And then I send a file, and I want to send tiny basic. And it just starts sending it. And as long as it's doing it on this one line, I know it's working. And if it glitches, it'll say error Kim, and you'll get a bunch of garbage. And so it's just gonna send this. And it's gonna take a minute because I've told it to take a minute. I've told it to slow down. Yeah. So it's going to take a minute to load Tiny Basic, but hopefully we'll get it.
That's fascinating. And it's not hexadecimal, because it is hexadecimal.
Yeah.
It is hexadecimal.
So this file is the paper tape file, because you could still use like punched paper tape, I guess. I don't know. They call it, it's universally called the paper tape file, and it's this hex format. Yeah. Yeah, and the memory address of this is like, it starts at 2000 and it goes up to whatever 2000 plus 32K is. It's something with F's in it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But so.
Yes, I think FF is 256.
Oh, that would make sense. Yeah.
I can't remember if it's 255 or 256 because it starts at because the zero at zero.
I'm not sure either.
Thanks, HTML.
That's how we learn everything.
I could watch
that. I realized also that I hadn't really talked about why I really wanted to build one of these, because it was the first computer that used the 6502. And the 6502... The 6502 is the chip that changed everything, because it was powerful and it was inexpensive. All of the chips preceded it, like Motorola's 6800, they were super expensive.
So you couldn't just...
They sold this guy for $25, which was nothing.
Insane.
And I mean, it was more then than now, but still, it was way underselling the competitors. And in 1977, the home computer revolution began. The very first computers that were marketed towards people to have a computer at your house, not businesses, not academia. The three computers that came out in 1977, what they call the 1977 trilogy, were the Commodore PET, the Apple II, and the TRS-80. And of those three, the first two, the PET and the Apple II, both used the 6502 processor. The TRS-80 uses the Z80, which is the Zilog chip that was also in the Spectrum and a few other things. Like, it was the other popular chip. But if you were going to build a home computer to sell to the masses, right, the general public.
You and me.
Right, us. If you were going to build a computer to try to sell to Taylor and Amy in 1977, okay,
we would buy it. No, we were not. We were a little.
No, you were drooling in a stroller.
We were a little young,
and I was
even us.
I was
at that time
working on bipedalism at that point. I mean, I probably had the basics now. Anyway, so yeah, this is pre our nostalgia, but not by a lot, because the 6502 chip went on to be in the entire Atari 8-bit family, the Atari 2600 as well, all of the Commodore computers. Commodore bought
see one from here.
Yeah, Commodore bought MOS technology, so the Commodore 64 has the 6510, which is a variant on the 6502. And, drum roll please, probably the biggest thing that the 6502 processor gave us was the Nintendo Entertainment System, which was just our lives for a good period of time. And so that's why I do have a ton of nostalgia for this processor. Okay. Okay.
It stopped doing that thing.
It stopped doing that thing. So now I'm going to go to the address where it begins, which is 0200, and hit space. And then there's a one-letter run command, just sort of like I type L for load. What would you guess the one letter would be that I would type to make it run?
I would guess R.
I would have to. It's G for go.
Go!
Yeah. And that little colon
Let's go.
that I have on the screen, I'm actually going to point the camera at the laptop.
Yeah,
I think
because
it'll,
it's not as
yeah,
reflective.
there we go. So that little colon on the screen means it's running. So I can print the Taylor and Amy show 20 and run
Done.
list. And we have it. So it's a really bare bones basic, but it works. There's things it can't do, like it can't do like certain types of arrays or something. Like, I mean, there was, anyway.
Tiny basic.
Yeah, it's Tiny Basic. One of the big things about Tiny Basic was that it was free. They had developed it intentionally.
I can afford that.
Yeah. Okay, so I had the 32K bit figured out. So next up, I wanted to figure out what was going on with the rest of this. So I took out the big glasses with the magnification and discovered that, well, first of all, I gave them all a really good cleaning with alcohol and a Q-tip. And when I cleaned the back of it to just get the flux off, I discovered that the motherboard had, it was not a true solder bridge. It was just a random piece of trash solder that was just happened to be stuck between two pins. So I knocked that out with the Q-tip. And then the ROM board, which I had tested separately and it did not work, it did. It had the world's most microscopic solder bridge in there. So I knocked that out, put it all back together, and it worked. So while we could do what we just did and send any program that we wanted through the connection, it is rather slow, and we'd like it to be faster. So, all right, so we got it. So with this hooked up, we go to the memory address A000, which is way higher than 2000 because it starts with an A. A000, hit go. Wait, it didn't go there. Oh, because I hit enter. A000, space bar. Nothing is working. Starting over. Okay. A000, space bar. Now I'm at A000.
Okay.
Change my address. G.
Oh yeah, because it just
Boom! The PAL-1 ROM loader comes up. So it's coming off of this chip. This is a 28C256
Gotcha.
ROM chip. So we're going to say basic. Memory size, yes.
Yes.
Terminal width, yes. Want sine, cosine, tangent? Absolutely I do. Boom.
R10.
And now we have it. MOSTech 6502 Basic version 1.1, copyright 1977 by Microsoft. There it is.
That's going to take over Hello World is the first thing everyone should type.
Right. Everyone types the name of their channel.
Yeah.
All right.
No, everyone just think of our channel.
I see what you mean. So it's working, and I can play with it, and I can learn more things about it, and we have a working KIM-1. This third card is the second Riot chip, so this is the first Riot chip, and apparently the original KIM had two of those. Riot is like RAM input output timer. Anyway, so having this card, while I haven't done anything with it, it makes it like a true KIM-1.
It is complete.
And from what I read on the interweb, like, people will take old KIM software, put it on this, and it just runs with no modifications. I mean, it is a true KIM-1.
It's a true...
yeah, replica.
It's just the same.
It's right. With brand new parts and hardware.
And so shiny.
So I am thrilled with this. I have ordered a gender changer that is sane.
I like this
I
one.
like the Bifrost too. I'm a fan of my Rainbow Bridge. So we've got the PAL-1. Running things off of.
Now you probably are just gonna leave it like. Would you consider putting this in a case, or what would you want to?
I would get a piece of plexiglass and just take the holes. And
That would be
put a
so good.
Put a dot of marker through there, and then drill those holes, and then I might lift it up and put it on standoff.
That would be.
Yeah.
Really,
That'd be super cool. That'd be the next thing to do.
Really cool.
So if I ever do that, we'll make a video about
it.
it.
Would just look so good, and then you could see this output, whatever this.
Yeah.
Whatever that means.
Yeah. That would. I mean, some sort of base would
And
be
then
all I would probably do.
Have to leave the Bifrost because it would be so pretty.
I might. All right. Thanks for watching.
I love it.